Chris, and I'll say this, man, and I've said this on the show many, many times, and we've done a lot of shows recently just praising you up and down, but when we first started this show in 2009, it was soon after that I remember you were on a talk show, and it was kind of like the Canadian version of ESPN, TSN.
Right.
And you mentioned Busted Open, and you mentioned our show. And that was very early on. It was just Doug Mortman and I. And, I'm telling you right now, and not only that, the mentions that in your book as well, like I wanted to take a minute to really thank you for, believing in this show and representing this show and just acknowledging this show very early on, because we're now celebrating 15 years of Busted Open. So I just wanted to give you that moment to thank you for doing that, because you didn't need to do that. You're in my top 10 greatest pro wrestlers of all time. You're a first ballot Hall of Famer in any organization that you've ever wrestled in. So for you to acknowledge us that early, it was special, and I appreciate that, and I thank you.
Yeah, and you're welcome for that, because I remember, it's so funny, Doug Mortman and Dave LaGreca, I forgot about the name there. Busted Open has always been such a cool concept, because it was, like legit sports radio on SiriusXM of, here's the football show, and here's the baseball show, and here's the hockey show. And now we had one for pro wrestling, and now there's more of them, especially now with so many podcasts and that sort of thing. But at the time, 15 years ago, there wasn't really anything like Busted Open. So it was very unique, and it was really cool to kind of have that representation on mainstream, sports radio. So I was always all for it. And also too, from talking with you guys, with Doug as well, and yourself, you guys were knowledgeable, and not like, you guys play it straight, which they're not sometimes wrestling journalists have a way of being a little bit goofy. This was never that. It was always the straight talk, like you would see, like I said, on an NFL show or something like that. So right out of the gate, you guys had the right vibe, and that's why I was always really supportive of you.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, there's going to be times that any one of our hosts are going to be watching a show and may be critical. We kind of talk about it just like you would a hockey game or a football game. And for me, it wasn't about like, and I know they use wrestling journalists. I don't even know if there is such a thing as a wrestling journalist, because I'm just a talk show radio host that's reacting to the shows that I watch. And, early on, and this is why I always say to anybody that's doing a podcast, you don't have to grab the low-hanging fruit. One thing that we decided early on is we weren't going to do spoilers. And one of the things about pro wrestling is believing in the magic. And I feel like you can understand about that and promoting our whole world as a community.
You just nailed it right on the head. You believe in the magic of the business, and don't feel like you have to go out of your way to spoil everything or be negative about everything. There's so much of that, in wrestling and online and the IWC and all that sort of thing. And it's just not fun. Like that's not what wrestling is all about. And just wanting to expose everything and focus on things that you don't like, and just, this is all terrible and this is awful. And it's like, I don't know any other form of entertainment that has that. You don't see that in music, really. You don't see that in movies or anything along those lines. So you guys kind of, like you said, endorsing the magic of the business, and that, playing along isn't the right word, but whatever the word that I'm trying to say for playing along is what you guys do, which just makes everything more fun for everybody. It makes the guests more comfortable. It makes it easier to listen to. And obviously you have opinions, as you should. You shouldn't like everything, but you shouldn't also not like everything, which is a way that I find a lot of people are, these days with the advent of social media and podcasts and all that sort of thing as well.
And Chris, I think it's okay. And I actually said this on our Friday show, admitting when you're wrong. I came on the air and I was like, why is AEW going in this direction? And then I'm saying, and I'm being critical about it. And then on our show last week, I'm saying, okay, now I understand. Now I got it. And it's okay. And it's okay to be got. It's okay to be I was wrong, or I didn't see that coming. I think that also buys into the magic of it, because you're not going to see it initially, but if you follow the story and you watch on a weekly basis, at the end of the day, you're going to understand it and you're going to get hooked.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it's a story, right? You shouldn't
Yeah.
get the whole story in one show. There's always little nuances. And, we do have 3 shows a week, and we utilize all 3 of those for elements of the story. And you can't just put everything on Dynamite or everything on Collision or everything on Rampage. It's going to go where you have spaces. Like sometimes I have story points that have to be done, but we just don't have another show, another Dynamite. So let's do it on Rampage before the pay-per-view or whatever it may be. And I think a lot of people don't want that. They want to know everything all up front, and they want to know the whole, this story sucks, or this is terrible, or or what's the follow-up going to be. It's like, well, just sit back. Like, we do have long-term story ideas and thoughts and plans, and that's something that I really laugh at. As knowledgeable as fans think they are at times, they still really don't know. And I think that bothers a lot of people. Whereas for me, like, if I'm going to go see, like, what's the last movie I saw? Late Night with the Devil, I just watched. Great horror movie. If I knew what the whole story was before I started watching it, well, then why would I even bother watching it? It's like, I want to see it unfold the way that the storytellers and the director and the producers want to see it unfold. And that's
Yep.
how you tell great stories. And some of them are a month long, some of them are 6 months long, some of them are a year long. That's just how it goes in wrestling. And a lot of times too, you don't know what's going to happen. You got to go with the flow of what the reactions of the crowds are. Lord knows I know this. And so then you have to recalibrate. And that's part of the fun of doing live TV and doing weekly TV or bi-weekly live TV. We don't know what's going to happen. If you write a whole story and stick with it from A to B, if it's 4 months long, and somewhere along the lines people go a different direction, then you have to adapt to that. So it's one of those things, like I said, like at least for me and for other people I know in the company, there is a beginning, middle, and an end, always. And sometimes when people get angry because they think they've guessed the whole story, in the middle, and are mad that it's not ending yet, it's like, just calm down and watch the rest of the show and
Yeah.
stick with the rest of the timeline that we've got going here, and then decide if you like it or not.
Well, Chris, I mean, I want to thank you, first of all. This 15 years that we've been on the air, I've seen your career and all the chances that you took and how they have paid off for you, and how you keep reinventing yourself and each time knocking it out of the park. And I want to thank you for believing in this show and believe in me. I've been doing a show twice on the Jericho Cruise, or 2 of the highlights of my career, and you being a part of this show and believing in it. And I just wanted to thank you, and thanks for doing this, because it means a lot to me. And, you're one of the big reasons that, this show has been on the air for 15 years, and the credibility that you brought this show made the executives understand how significant and how big this show is. So thank you for believing in me and for believing in Busted Open.
Well, once again, you guys always had you're doing the show for the right reasons, and you've done a lot for the business as well. When AEW first started, even with WWE and all the different companies that are out there, you keep pro wrestling on people's minds, and it's not something that just lives on a Wednesday night or a Monday night, or now a Friday or Saturday. Like, you keep it going throughout the week, during the day. And obviously you've had huge success with it, because nobody lasts for 15 years in anything without growing a fan base. And that's kind of, one of the reasons why I think that I always enjoy doing the show, is I know, like, oh, Busted Open, it's going to be a fun conversation. It's going to be, a little bit ball busting, which is cool. It's going to be pretty positive, though, and most importantly, it's going to be fun. I think when you listen to Busted Open, it's a fun listen if you're a fan or if you're in the business, and that's a testament to you guys and your cast of characters that you've had over the years as well. You've had to keep it fresh, bring in new people to host the show. I think you've got a great group of hosts right now, a great panel, but you've always been you've always been the cornerstone, Dave. So congratulations to you for that, for keeping your vision of what the show should be alive and well and continuing to grow.
Thanks so much, and it's always fun unless Bully's on the air. And then I'll always make the suggestion, please, if you can fit it in, Feel the Burn on the next Fozzy set list. I'm a big fan. I still haven't heard that song live, so I would love for Feel the Burn to wind up on the
It's
set
our
list.
25th anniversary coming up, starting in October, and we're going to be doing stuff from every album. So maybe I'll talk to the Duke and see if he wants to put it back in the set.
Love it, Chris. Thanks so much, my friend.
Cheers, guys. Congratulations on 50
bye.
amazing years.
RJ, you know how much of a fan I am. It's great to see where your career has gone in a completely different way than you probably thought originally it was going to go. But what you've done with EW and everything else that you've done, congratulations to you, sir, with everything.
Thank you. But this is not about me. This is about you fellas, you huckleberries. And it just dawned on me. I don't know if this is a little weird if we could do this. Dave, a while ago you had a live show, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And there was a gal there who hosted the show, and I may have written a few jokes for her monologue.
Really?
Yes. And now she felt that most of them were too dirty and too rude. So she cut most of them, but I have them here if you want to hear them.
Please, I would love to.
Come on, let's go.
First of all, I did not know about this, RJ.
No, I write in the shadows like the Phantom of the Opera, Dave.
I would love to hear some of these jokes, please.
Okay, let's go. We always say Dave is just like Larry David, but without the fame, money, wit, or critical acclaim. Dave, curb your mediocrity. Dave is allergic to chocolate, but he eats it anyway, causing him to sneeze profusely. Sounds like a man who just has not come to terms with his sneezing fetish. Dave has a house full of cats because his wife Violetta loves them. At least one person isn't ignoring pussy in that household.
Love it. A lot of truth.
Did that work for you? I got more here. We can keep going.
Please, go. I love him so far.
Mark Henry was the world's strongest man, setting records in the squat and deadlift. But his most impressive feat of strength was withstanding decades of bad booking.
Wow.
That's
and who could forget Mark's unbelievable run as sexual chocolate? I don't want to say Mark and Dave are close, but I would often see them walking into the bathroom, then hear Dave sneezing.
Oh wow!
Oh, shit.
I got more. I got ones for the people who aren't here, if that's okay.
Please
come
go
on.
ahead.
I guess
Everybody's
Tommy
a part of
Dreamer
it.
is at another ECW reunion. Tommy is so monotone that you can't even tell whether he's happy, sad, or angry. Really happy he still works at Busted Open. Tommy, you have a face for radio and a voice for a 1996 shoot interview on VHS. Tommy is known as the innovator of violence, and who could forget his incredible innovation of asking, hey, why don't I hit someone over the head with this thing? What a genius. And finally, Bully. If you want proof that cancel culture does not exist, Bully has made a career out of publicly yelling at a black man to move furniture for him.
Wow.
You know, RJ, amazing as always.
And Bully's favorite movie is Fatso, which is why he often acts like Dom DeLuise on pre-workout.
Get the honey, Junior. RJ, phenomenal.
Did that work for
I would
you?
have
God.
loved. I would have loved to have heard it, but
She
you know
missed
what?
the boat.
She missed the boat. She
She
missed the
should have
boat.
used that.
Yeah,
But-
well, it's too late now. And I had them
No,
left
but you
over. I
used
had a
it.
scrapyard.
But better that you used it for our 15-year anniversary show, RJ. Thank
Exactly.
Right? Yes, destiny has taken its course.
you.
RJ has always been one of my favorites, Dave, from the time that I saw him doing coffee in his underwear and then coming on this show with us. And I pushed everywhere I ever went. I was like, hey, man, this guy's underrated. Y'all need to know this guy. The biggest surprise was me walking into AEW and seeing him walk down the hallway backstage. I don't just run up and hug a lot of dudes. I don't. But I ran up and hugged RJ.
And it made everyone
Because
uncomfortable.
Hey, it made everybody uncomfortable. Fuck him. I was like, listen, this is what I wanted, and I'm glad you're there, man. I am so glad that you are actually one of the shining spots of that company, and it didn't take long for you to get there.
Well, thank you, Mark. I appreciate. He's been pulling for me so long, which tells you I'm either reviled or he has no pull. You know, I mean,
Well,
we just have to get down to it.
Well, the shit worked. It worked.
It did. It did.
It's a long way from that conversation of me eating a sandwich in the airport in Denver.
Yes, I'm the real Jade Cargill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you had to hang your hat on one person, it has to be me.
And RJ, Thunder Rosa on this show last week was praising you up and down as well, because you do so much more than just what we see on our TV screen. So she was praising you up and down. So, and what Thunder has done since her return and what she's been able to do on the microphone, I think has been phenomenal. So, RJ, your influence is everywhere.
Well, I like to be like an insult consultant. You know what I mean? That's my forte. I'm like the fixer. If you want to upset someone linguistically, you come to me. But she's been fantastic. I mean, that promo she cut on Collision was like a 5-minute live promo. That was nuts. Knocked it out of the park. That whole run to Dynasty with that match with Toni Storm. I mean, I could not find, especially in the last year or so, a better women's feud and match than that. Or about why do I even say women's? They knocked it out of the park. I would dare any male wrestler to touch Thunder or Toni Storm's promos.
Well, RJ, I appreciate you. Thank you for being a part of this show. You've come on, especially Mark, we were talking about the pandemic. RJ came on so many times during the pandemic, some of our shows that we did, the virtual shows and parties and things. And RJ was a part of like our holiday celebration party and our SummerSlam celebration party.
Smart as a whip.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I
and
never
RJ,
really plugged anything, which was really, well, what are you
was there
do?
Something you would like to plug?
No,
plug away?
not now. It's a little late now. I got to ask for it. It's a little embarrassing, a little insulting now.
Interesting.
Don't get hot.
Now, because of you, RJ, coming on the show, Busted Open 15 is now in the top 10. We're trending top 10. So use the hashtag Busted Open 15, Busted Open 15. Let's get to number 1, but we're right now in the top 10. So use that hashtag, sharing some moments and memories. RJ, thank you for all the love. Thank you for giving us your time, and appreciate you being a part of Busted Open. Thank you.
Look, the only reason it's trending is because I said Dom DeLuise. So please keep that going all day. Drop some DeLuise bombs for me.
That's it. The bloopers after Cannonball Run 2 and Fatso are the 2 greatest things Dom DeLuise ever did. And the end. And the movie The End. So make sure you check that out if you haven't already.
Good. Here's my plug.
I am actually plugging Dom DeLuise.
Put that back in.
Who hasn't been with us in 12 years. RJ, thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Of course. Goodbye, everyone.